Welcome back to Striped Shirt Daily.
Oh
He
no.
did it. He did it.
Well, because at the end of the day, like the whole point of our show is to try and get people to come together, to grow together, to learn together, and just like support each other through all this like shit that's going on right now, and like to be able to like see the incredible work that you're doing like on your own. We're like honored that you come out to our show so often. Like we forget sometimes, like because you guys are peers, like how powerful you guys are as well, which in also reminds us of how powerful that we are too.
Shot down, right? So when I got introduced to FreeFlow and I came through and I watched Rose perform, it felt like the closest thing to what I was going to do for 2020, right? But then virtually. So, and the way that you guys did it and presented it, it was so welcoming, and there was immense talent. I remember I was so intimidated by the talent that I ended up muting the sound so I could practice my open mic over and over again. I felt so guilty for that the next one that I came to, I remember I didn't even perform or do the open mic. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna observe. I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna enjoy everything. And yeah, so that's why I kept coming back, because it just felt so good to be there, especially during such a hard time where we're lacking so much community.
It's so good though that like you find inspiration in that community, because I think we got to just keep inspiring each other, right? And for me, that's a lot of what it's about. And just a little side note, when I told this to Annie and Anto, but when I was working on that video, the intro one, they're like, "Hey, good job, it's really good." I'm like, "Oh, great, great, great. I really just wanted to do something to impress Shahvar."
Literally,
It was fantastic.
and we were like pouring so much love too, and he's like, "Yeah, this is like I just want Shahvar to like this."
But we gotta inspire each other. We gotta inspire each other for sure.
I was having a hard time with the process because I was focusing so much on the result of it. Because of other people, because I was like, how are people going to receive this? How are people going to receive this? Are they going to like it? Are they going to like it? And then I started to realize that it was really interrupting my processes too much, and it was having a negative effect on me. So I then developed this perspective of, instead of focusing on how other people are going to feel about it before I make the song, I'm going to use the perspective of how am I going to feel about this in 10 years.
You touched on a couple of things that I really like. One of them is just like Anto was asking about, like looking back at it, like how do you kind of feel? And I think if we're doing it right and we're just being honest with our art, then it's a perfect like fossil of who we were at that moment. Even your Santa Claus rap, like that's who you were, that's where you were at. And our artworks stand as, like, I think tombstones might be a bit morbid, but like they're landmarks of who we are and where we've been. And that's one thing I love about art, and just being like, one of the things I consider myself is an archivalist. And it's like, yeah, I have like all kinds of work that lives in the catalog, and I can go back at it, and it's like such a good expression of the consciousness at that time. It's like, this is who I was, this is where I was at. And the other thing you really touched on is like, I see so many people, a lot of people that have an idea and spin their wheels in the mud with this one thing for years and never publish it, or never put it out, or never do it, because they're afraid it's not going to be perfect.
My favorite part of the process is the actual feeling of what I'm about to make. So I think that the feeling is my favorite part of art. It's not actually like what I make of it, but how I feel it. If that makes any sense, or if that's a little obscure.
No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that when I started realizing that I was an artist was when I would look at pieces of art or listen to people perform, and instead of just watching what they were sharing or looking at what was being shared, I would immediately think and feel like man, this person went through so much
Yeah.
to create this. Like, you know, and it's amazing, like the messages that sometimes I'll go back and I'll read shit and I'm like, I couldn't even understand what this was at all then. But
Yeah.
now I'm reading it and it's exactly the moment that I needed to hear this. It's exactly to show who I was at that time so that I can take the message from then. And like, I was just randomly writing shit. And especially, and this is one of the things that I really want to bring back as my typewriter is like, the typewriter was an incredible vessel for that because the actual physical tapping of it and then you can't erase it. It's just all like, you're just going, right? So that to me is like so powerful. And lately every night I've been writing stuff before I went to bed and stuff. And I think that that's the part that I love the most. And I have challenges with the finalized product.
I'll chime in. I started really like creating in an artistic way when I was about 16. That's when I wrote my first song and I started to draw and to do journals. And at first it was a really great way to divert my destructive energy that was self-deprecating into something more creative and constructive. Instead of hating myself, I'm going to build a song that is like channeling. So it's like, okay, I'm feeling this thing, but I have the mental strength to channel it into something else. And so early on, it became a way to channel the negative energies I was feeling. And then there was a turning point where, and Annie, you were talking about meditation, and Shahvar, you're talking about focus, where I started to use artwork to channel very specific energies. And again, earlier, Shahvar, you were talking about like, in my interpretation of it was like, what do I want to feel from this piece in 10 years, or like, what do I want this piece to feel like for me? So I would start to create artworks or whatever. I use that word really, really broadly, artworks, writing, songs, paintings, dances, whatever. I would write artworks that were like anchors. It's like this piece, I have a piece called Now is the Time, and it was the biggest canvas I ever worked on. And it was like, I don't even care what this looks like. I just want to fill this page with this creative energy. I'm just going to do it because if it doesn't happen now, it's not going to happen. And I'm just going to create without really caring, just so I can get this creative energy out. And it's like, this is about getting it on the page regardless of what it looks like. And that's what's embodied in that piece. You know, I have another piece which is like calling on a specific energy. So I like to like get multidisciplinary with like that, where a picture will have a set of words that are like, these are the feelings, these are the intentions. So at first, art, like as far as mental health goes, it was a way to channel the negative energies, and then it was a way to anchor into positive energies, whatever they might be.
I love that imagery of anchor. Like, I feel like the most powerful thing about my mental health for sure is the strength of writing. And to be able to like know that there's something or someone, whether it's future self of myself or like that I'm going to read this out to somebody else, or like just reading it out in the moment, like that has like given me such a, I love the word anchor, such a powerful anchor. Like when when storms are brewing, to feel like I could like put down an anchor into the water, and like, you know, everything might be going crazy, but like to be able to actually write and just feel like the strength of like, I am present enough now. And it's like, I think connected back to what Annie was saying about meditation. It's like, you're so connected to this moment because you're like able to like help yourself like kind of get into that flow. And like whenever I have lost like my concentration, instead of like this aggressive nature, it's like, you're writing right now. Like, you're so lucky to be doing like, and not like in a, you're lucky, don't fucking take it for granted, but it's like, you're so lucky, like you're so grateful. Like, I'm, you know, like I'm so grateful of this. And like, you know, just being able to have that, like, such a centered and such a good, it's a privilege to a certain extent to be able to be an artist in that way.